Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Unique Perspective Show. On this week's episode, we got to sit down with a very, very special and unique person. He is the executive director of Bikur Cholim of Lakewood. He has done so much for Klal Yisroel, and all over the world, he has done so much. Rabbi Kaszieer, who grew up in Brooklyn, New York, he currently lives in Lakewood, and he runs Bikur Cholim. What Bikur Cholim does is very, very unique and special and out of this world. As you'll hear more in this episode. This week's episode is in memory of my dear friend Raphy Strauss, Raphael, Yaakov, Yisroel, Ben Ron. May his Neshama have an Aliyah. It is also being sponsored by Torah Tavlin. Have you heard about the new book that's coming out, Heroes of Courage? To learn more about Torah Tavlin and what Torah Tavlin does and all their books, please go to torahtavlin.org. That is torahtavlin.org, as well as VentureTech Computer Repair. Whether you need a full IT setup, you need a new computer, a custom computer build, or you need just some fixing, let us know. Let VentureTech know. Contact VentureTech. To see more about what they do, go to www.venturetechcomputers.com. That is www.venturetechcomputers.com. Or shoot us an email at info@venturetechcomputers.com. That is info@venturetechcomputers.com. Or call us at 347-603-0033. That is 347-603-0033. And now, Rabbi Kaszieer. Welcome to the Unique Perspective Show. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, fine.
What's doing, Rabbi Kaszieer?
Baruch Hashem, it's we're in the heat of the summer right now, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on all over. Unfortunately, there's a lot going on in town, and we're trying our best to keep up with the pace.
Wow. So, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Flatbush.
Oh, wow. Really? In Flatbush? Where in Flatbush?
Ellen 10th.
Wow. Okay. And which yeshivas did you go to?
So I went to Cheder, I went to Yaakov, which is Chassidish yeshiva. Then I went to the Mintz. I went to Montreal, then Mir. And Baruch Hashem, I came to Lakewood at this point 23 years ago already.
Oh, wow. So you made your trip around the world, basically, for yeshiva.
Baruch Hashem.
So after Montreal and the Mir, you came straight to Lakewood, or you went somewhere else first?
Straight to Lakewood.
Oh, wow. Okay. And were you in BMG then, or what were you doing then?
I was in BMG. I was in Chayil in BMG for close to 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then after Chayil?
I was a Rebbe for 10 years. I was a Cheder Rebbe in Yeshiva of Lakewood.
Wow, you were a Rebbe in Lakewood, which
it's a Yeshiva of Lakewood, a third grade Rebbe.
YTT. Wow.
No, it's a Yeshiva Ketana.
Oh, Yeshiva Ketana. Okay. So you were what grade were you?
Third grade.
Wow. Okay. So after 5 years of being a Rebbe, what made you decide to stop being a Rebbe?
So I was a Rebbe actually for 10 years. I was actually doing it side by side. I was running the Bikur Cholim, and I was involved in them. Something which really it really took up most of my time. So I made the shift to doing Bikur Cholim full time.
Wow. So how did you get involved with Bikur Cholim of Lakewood? How?
So initially, when I got involved, it was Lakewood was a very almost a staple at that point.
I'm
We
sure it
went
was
down.
small back then when you got involved.
It was small back then, and the need was very small as well. And at that point, Bikur Cholim was looking for a handful of volunteers to come visit patients in Kimball Hospital.
Okay.
And as we say, the rest is history.
Wow. So how many years ago was that?
At this point, it's close to 20 years ago already.
Wow, 20 years. So you got involved with Bikur Cholim, but how did you move up in the ranks of Bikur Cholim to where it is
So,
now?
so at that point, it was a very small organization. There were a few original women that were involved in establishing it. They had some services in the hospital,
Okay.
some of the other services which were unique to Lakewood then as a small startup town. And as the need evolved, myself and a couple of friends really, you know, helped step up the game. And unfortunately, as Lakewood, or Baruch Hashem, as Lakewood exploded, unfortunately the need exploded with it. And we constantly try to do our best to stay up to the base.
Wow. So what does Bikur Cholim do officially? Because I know that they do a lot of stuff, but what do they do officially?
So Bikur Cholim of Lakewood is very unique in the sense
Okay.
that we provide a tremendous amount of concrete services to patients and their family members in a all under one roof, where we're involved with patients when they come into the hospital, assisting them through that maze of services that are needed in the hospital, guiding them throughout their hospital stay, and then providing them services that are needed, be it our food. We send out over 5,000 meals a week. To transportation, we have a fleet of 18 vehicles that are constantly taking patients to and from hospitals, to and from medical appointments, to other social events for handicapped patients. Additionally, we have the free loan of medical equipment where patients that are at home, we're able to give them simple stuff like wheelchair crutches for nodes to more sophisticated items like CPAP machine, BiPAP machines, portable oxygen concentrators, et cetera. And we have a hospitality network, which is a network which is called the Friendship House Network, which is Bikur Cholim House here in Lakewood, additional to 10 other locations across the country where we're able to put up people that need to be next to a hospital, either just for Shabbos or in the out of town communities for their length of their duration in the hospital.
Wow. So you have, how many houses does Bikur Cholim have right now? 10?
We
Or
currently have 10 houses which we operate out of.
wow.
Yep.
Wow. So Bikur Cholim it's an amazing organization what you guys do, but how do you run it? Like you have a lot of volunteers, I'm assuming, right?
So we have a tremendous amount of volunteers, and at this point we have quite a few employees as well, and
Wow.
it's tremendous amount of siyata d'shmaya. I mean, each department is really ran independently in the organization on its own, but obviously with the collaborative efforts of all the departments. But every department really, operates on their own in order to be able to make sure that things are ran efficiently and correctly.
Wow. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, but you, after being a Rebbe and you doing Bikur Cholim on the side, you took it and ran with it. How did Rabbi Kaszirer do that? Like build it up to what it is today.
So Baruch Hashem, Lakewood is a very unique, energetic, Torah-dig, and chesed-oriented community.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of very good people in town that, not that it's easy, don't get me wrong, to collect $5-6 million a year takes a lot of work and a lot of chaos, and I don't want anybody taking the message home from here that it's an easy job to raise those funds or to pull all of that together. But the spirit Gedina Heart in town is people really want to help out each other. They want to help out each other on on a personal basis, on a town basis, and on a need basis. And unfortunately, with every good or bad thing that hits the town, people respond positively and people respond responsibly, and they want to be involved and they want to give a hand and they want to see what they can do. And Baruch Hashem, we have a knack of attracting some good talent here, the people that want to use their kaiches in the right direction.
I actually have a friend that used to work at Bikur Cholim, Yisroel Lapidus.
So even take him. He used to work for us for quite a few years, but he can't get away from us. He's still very actively involved in many of the fundraisers. As I'm sure you're aware, he's involved in the Night at the Net. He's involved in our 24-hour dispatch, making sure that the volunteers, dispatchers are manning the lines and getting done correctly. And he's a tremendous asset, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem is a good person. So a couple years ago, we had I don't even want to mention it, but we had something called Corona. How did Bikur Cholim get involved? Like, I know you guys were very, very involved in the COVID plasma initiative, but how did you get involved with it? And if you can explain a little bit to what you did and all of that, and if you can.
So unfortunately, when COVID hit, we really took the message of seeing the need out there, and we really just did everything we can, and we upscaled everything that was going on here. The uniqueness of what happened then was, of course, a tremendous amount of the services that we provided them were different and unique to what we do on a daily basis. But in reality, it was just doing a lot more quantity of many of the services that we were providing. That means a tremendous amount of transportation, a tremendous amount of food services. Now, the food services was different. Getting food into hospitals then was a big deal. Being able to get food and keep it refrigerated, keep it temperature controlled, get it into hospitals that were on full lockdown was a tremendous challenge. But in reality, it was just expanding the food department. And the medical equipment, the medical equipment department has been around a good 15 years pre that. But we obviously had to up our game tremendously. We'll have a video of a few, like I believe it was Sunday after Purim, so that was like mid-March, just as things were unfortunately settling in, and we were all proud of the 14 concentrators that we owned at that point. Little did we know that later we'll own over 300 concentrators, but it was literally taking whatever we had in place and just upscaling it.
Wow. And how did you get involved with the monoclonal antibody treatment?
So we had an interesting connection with the Mayo Clinic. We have one of our Bikur Cholim houses, one of the friendship houses, are located a few blocks away from the Mayo Clinic, even though in general out of town not involved in the day-to-day care of patients. But over the years, we were able to pick up a tremendous amount of connections in the hospitals and in the peripheral places. And as the need came up for plasma testing, we went to our nurses and phlebotomists that we had in house, and we said, "Hey, there's an opportunity. Would you be able to give a hand?" And little did we know that we would be at the helm of a tremendous, I'd say, national or international effort, way before anybody was even thinking of it.
So the first event in Lakewood for plasma was, I think it was the biggest event that you guys, I mean, for COVID-wise, it was the biggest ever, right?
So the initial one that we did was a screening of 1,500 vials, and we had a follow-up one in Borough Park a few days later, which was also in that area, somewhere between 15 and 2,000. And then there were 2-3 follow-ups in Lakewood as well. I think we topped off somewhere between 12 and 15,000 blood samples that we tested out.
Wow. So you had to test it out, but it had to go out right away. How did you get that to go out right away?
So we worked very closely with a longtime friend of mine, Simcha Shane from Parafighting MS, who was able to secure us a jet that actually went out there that night, the night of, that we were able to fly out the vials. Then a couple of days later, a good old friend of ours, Zatzal Yoni Cohn from Chicago native, that actually took his plane and flew out some of the specimens a couple of nights later. And there, if you remember correctly, the community effort and the people behind it was like everyone was going to do anything and everything to make this happen. And part of the reason was because we saw a tremendous onslaught of it, and it goes back to the spirit of volunteering. There's a tremendous Bikur Cholim of Lakewood. People that just want to roll up their sleeves with their hand. It doesn't make a difference which organization, what the need is. It's just a matter of what they can do and make an impact and help others.
Right. Wow. How did Rabbi Kaszieer get to Simcha Shein?
So Simcha's a Hatzalah member here in Lakewood for many years, and I'm a very close friend of his, and I'm in touch with him on a daily basis. We've done some medical flights before where we're taking patients to and from as close as state to state, or even across the world, or some patients who can flown to Yisroel.
But you didn't grow up with him, so how?
Correct, but so there's something very there's one something very contagious in the field of chesed, in the field of askanas, where you get to meet people that are good people that want to help out each other, and you always make sure to keep their number for a rainy day.
Exactly. Wow. There's something that you also did with Simcha. It's the Refuah app. How did that come to fruition?
So the Refuah app was actually going back quite before that, quite before COVID, but going back probably at this point between 5 and 10 years ago already, where Simcha told me he has this idea of building an app which would connect and let people know of all the chesed organizations that are available. We had put in a tremendous amount of effort going about 6-7 years ago when apps were newer than they are today, and it was a lot harder to develop them, and each one was device specific. And for those of us who remember, we've been building on the BlackBerry platform in the app world.
Yeah,
that's something which is not around anymore. So we really constantly kept on upping the data, upping the information, and really making it available for people. But literally in the past couple of months, we really took it to a whole new level where we released a tremendous update, and things are a lot faster, a lot smoother, a lot more up to date. And literally every time we push an update, or every time we let the community know that there's something going on in the app, we always get a tremendous amount of some negative and a tremendous amount of positive feedback of getting more accurate information. And for those out there that are not familiar with the Refuah app, the Refuah app is refuah.com, refuah.com, and it's an app which is location based. So basically, you can be anywhere around the globe, and it'll tell you what information you have available, what information is available for patients in that hospital. Be it to kosher pantries, be it kosher eateries in the area, zmanim, mikvois, askanim, Chabad houses, any critical information that you might need is available on the app, and it's really an amazing guide. And many times people find themselves in a hospital or in a situation where they need help, and it's 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and they're not looking to wake somebody up, and they can't get the information. It's something which they can have available to them either online, just going to the website, or downloading it on your phone to get all the capabilities that the app has to offer.
Is anyone able to add locations to the app themselves, or do they have to send it to Bikur Cholim and then Bikur Cholim adds it?
So the adding option is available on the app itself. Obviously, internally we look at the information and clarify and verify it before we actually publicize it, but we heavily rely on the community to put the information out there.
Okay. Wow. I mean, recently it was updated massively, so actually I opened it a while ago, and it's very nice. So did Rabbi Kaszieer ever think that Bikur Cholim, that it was then to become what it is now? Did you ever think that it would be possible.
Not in my wildest dreams, but I need to be honest with you.
Okay.
Baruch Hashem, it's success is like not that I drink, but success is like a glass of wine, and the more you get a taste for it, the more you see the opportunities out there and the need out there, and you have to get unique and see what are true needs or what is just what we call hack. To really know what the true needs are, what the patients need, and try to develop projects and programs around it or expand it as they're needed.
Wow. It happens to be, I think my shwager, David Khan, actually donated one of the vans.
So David donated us the first Mammoth Shuttle. Mammoth Shuttle this days already is, I believe it's the 7th or 8th year where we have a shuttle that goes, we do it in conjunction with the hospital, but we have a shuttle that goes up to the hospital twice a day, takes patients up and down. And I'm sure you're aware that the Mammoth Hospital is Baruch Hashem, mostly for babies, and for good reasons. Patients are in the hospital there. Unfortunately, there are a decent amount of babies that are there in the NICU, so moms have to go back and forth a month or two. It can be very strenuous to have to drive on their own, and we have the shuttle door to door, and it's tremendous service to those that utilize it.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Who does Rabbi Kaszirer look up to, like, for all this, for what he does on a daily basis?
So Baruch Hashem, I'm surrounded by very good people over here. And in addition to that, we constantly have contact with Rabbi Cohen, who's our Meredasler, and he's involved in the day-to-day operations of the organization, and we're in constant contact with our board, which is a group of Balavatim that stand behind the organization to make sure that we're financially responsible and assist us when things get rough out there as well.
Any amazing stories that happened to Rabbi Kaszieer that you can share with us?
So
with Bikur Cholim?
So Baruch Hashem, I'm zeicher to see a tremendous amount of amazing stories. There's many times where there's from small episodes to big episodes, but you name it. Many times I'm able to see amazing things happen in front of my eyes. But I had a very, very interesting story a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So it was in general, I like to schedule my day that I'm in Lakewood in the morning. I joke around that I work in the morning and I do chesed in the afternoon. So typically what I try to do is get as much work as I can done in the morning, and then I try to go a couple of afternoons out to the city in the afternoon to check on the two Bikur Cholim houses there. We have one at Cornell Hospital, Cornell and Sloan on 66th and York, and we have another one at 168th and Amsterdam by Columbia Hospital. So I'm driving in the city, and it was a cold, rainy winter day. Shkia was very early. I think Shkia was about 4:30 or 4:40 that afternoon. And as I'm about to get to the Friendship House, which is a house that hosts any Shabbos, about 45 people that stay in the building. We're literally right across the street from Sloan Kettering. And we have patients there from all over the world. We have patients from Yisroel, from the tri-state area. We have patients that come in every so often from South America, because it's literally the capital of the hospitals are right there. So I get a phone call that there was a Chassidish young man that his wife had a baby earlier in the day, and his wife had complicated the labor, and he was in the hospital all day, and it was about 20 minutes to Shkia, and he looks at his clock and he sees, hey, I didn't put on my tefillin yet, so I quickly get a phone call. I was looking for that Chabad act, tefillin on the drone service, But it was literally 10, 15 minutes before Shkia, and this fellow didn't put on tefillin all day. Typically, I have my towels and tefillin in the car. It wasn't there, and I said, hey, we got to find a pair of tefillin. But I mean, this is from a building over here. and I'm literally in the building, and I'm knocking from door to door. I felt like Connie in pajamas in the middle of the night, running from door to door in the friendship house, seeing if there's any from me that was there. And lo and behold, there's no one in the building, and I'm thinking to myself, Hashem Yirachim, this is 10 minutes before Shkia, this Seder Shiur man's not gonna put on film. What are we gonna do over here? Finally, I get to the top door, and I knock on the door. I knew we had an Israeli family there. Quite honestly, I didn't even know if they were from or not. I knock on the door, and the woman who comes to the door says, "Rabbi, how can I help you?" I said, maybe by any chance your husband has a pair of tefillin that's here. I have somebody in the building who wants to put on. She says, "Of course," and she hands me a pair of tefillin. So we have a little shul in the basement there, and I take the shul man there, and he's 5 minutes before Shkia, and he opens up the pair of tefillin, and lo and behold, as he opens up the pair of tefillin, the yarmulke pops out. He says, "What's this?" I said, "No, you have nothing to worry about. Just put on your tefillin. Yeah, everything's fine." And it was really a tremendous message to me, and unfortunately, we're 2 days into the 9 days right now, and unfortunately, we all need the Musar, and we all need to remind ourselves that when Klal Yisrael is struck with any tragedy or struck with any medical crisis, we so quickly remagnetize to the Achdus of Klal Yisrael, and that and all the stripes and all the colors and all the different, we're part of a beautiful tapestry of Klal Yisrael, and unfortunately, when Tzaras hit, we all literally magnetize in a second, and unfortunately, the derech ha'elam is that when things are going well, we forget about it, and it's a tremendous lesson. And we also so even though unfortunately, when there's times of general tragedy, everybody feels that way. But in these friendship houses and in these Bikur Cholim houses, we see it literally on a daily or weekly basis. You can have Eden from across the globe, from different walks of life, different sheepes in life, and everyone has their own, literally, like the Rambam says, we all come from very different molds, but it's a reminder for us that we're all really connected, and sometimes we have to peel away a couple of shells on the onion, or sometimes some of those shells are peeled away on us, and unfortunately people are thrown into these medical situations or into other crises, and it's a reminder to really reunite each other and care about each other.
Wow. That is, first of all, that's an amazing story. Getting back to COVID, any like crazy stories or amazing stories that you can share with us that
I didn't realize this would be a therapy session. We're not trying to remind ourselves of any of these stories.
Nah, it's just that Bikur Cholim did so much during Corona that not everyone knows what you guys did. So
we've unfortunately had some real wild stories, if I could say. We had in the middle of COVID, like the Thursday night before Pesach, there were a couple of patients, unfortunately, that got a phone call from one of the hospitals locally that they would have to make decisions with their family members, with their loved ones, and potentially say goodbye to them. And families were really stricken that they didn't know what the next or what the right move was.
okay.
We approached the hospital and we said, "Listen, we understand that you're under a tremendous amount of stress, and we understand that this is not a regular situation. How can we be of assistance?" And it's not a secret. The Governor Murphy announced because Bikur Cholim gave Jersey Shore Hospital 14 respirators, which were used on patients because they were short of respirators. We had people donated these respirators literally a short 2-3 weeks beforehand. When these respirators were donated, we almost internally said, "What are we doing?" It was like to buy fire extinguisher to keep it on the wall and hope never to use it. Little did we know all 14 of them were going to be used. 4 of those patients that got those phone calls received the respirators. 2 of them, unfortunately, were niftar.
Right.
There's 2 of those people that today are walking and talking, literally from that direct effort. And not always are you zeicha to see the amount of effort and kayach and sweat you put into these projects, and you think sometimes you just like sometimes you feel like you're literally shooting in the dark, as they say. When you see what a direct impact these services have, you really it's only a muster to keep on going, because you know that you know how much people are relying on you. And on that note, it's really it's very hard for us to know, but we know that Rabbi Shalom gave us this job to do it. It's our job to keep on doing, and it's not. Of course, it gives us tremendous amount of sipuk, and it gives us tremendous amount of kayach to keep on chugging when things are going rough. But it's a source for us to be able to provide these services to people. It's tremendous, and we need a daven to have a tremendous amount of siyata d'shmaya, because when you're out there advocating for patients or helping patients, it's not always as rosy as it sounds on a beautiful podcast like you're doing right now. And when you're able to talk about it in hindsight, in the real world, it's a tremendous amount of effort, and it's tremendous amount of work that needs to be
put in. So Baruch Hashem, COVID's over, but you're so busy with Bikur Cholim and whatever you guys do. How do you balance that with your family?
So Baruch Hashem, I have a very supportive family. My wife, my children, my children grew up into it. They, there's a old famous saying of this child that was this person finally makes it up to Mount Everest, and he says, "How did you make it up here?" He says, "Oh, me, I'm a 5-year-old child. I'm an 8-year-old child. My parents lived here. What do you want from me? I was born up here." So a little bit, unfortunately, my kids were born up here. But
Wow.
Baruch Hashem, I have a very supportive family that's behind it, and part of support is seeing the appreciation or compliments. Baruch Hashem, people every so often send over candy dishes or other ways of showing your recognition to assisting these patients, and it really is tremendous.
Wow. Who is? I mean, I think you already answered, but who is the most influential person in your life that you look up to?
It really depends on which, really on what end it is. And Baruch Hashem, I'm surrounded in a town with many other askanim that are involved in other organizations that I work with literally on a daily and nightly basis, that I'm able to interact with, depending on what the need is. And there's a huge selection of them. Baruch Hashem, like I told you, we have the Astra and some who stands behind everything. Unfortunately, we lost Shlomo Gissinger Zatzal, who used to be our Bar Astra, who guided us and showed us what the unhumanly responsibility there is to patients and their families.
Getting to Rabbi Gissinger, how did Bikur Cholim get to him, and what was your relationship with Rabbi Gissinger?
So, Rabbi Gissinger has always been the address for any medical shilas, literally from all over the world, and this is going back way before I was involved. And the second we got involved in Bikur Cholim, he was our first address in anything medical, any question that we ever had or anything around. Always used to go to him, and I Baruch Hashem, had a very close relationship with him in going through many shilas, many kehila things, and many other topics, unfortunately, which I was able to be in his shadows for quite a long time.
Did you have a personal relationship, or was it just because of Bikur Cholim?
It was because of Bikur Cholim, but over the years it turned into a personal relationship. I still remember one Shabbos morning at about 4 a.m. I had a halacha shiloh. There was patient there was a question if they should leave the patient on a respirator or unfortunately take the patient off, and it was a back and forth. And at 4:30 on a Shabbos morning, I knocked on Rabbi Kissinger's door, and literally 30 seconds later, he came fully dressed to the door and he says, "Good Shabbos, Yehuda. How can I help you?" Like almost as if he was waiting for me all night to show up. That was
Wow.
those that were zeicher to see him and know him knew exactly what that was.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And how did I guess Reb Simcha Bunim Cohen took him over? I guess.
Yes, and I mean, they actually the last couple of years of Rabbi Gissinger's life, Simcha Bunim worked in tandem with Rabbi Gissinger.
Wow. So you're running a massive, massive organization in Lakewood.
Right.
How is that possible? I'm saying, like, it's unbelievable. Wow. What was your what was your best advice that was given to you, and your worst advice that was given to you?
Well, listen. One thing is for sure: if I got the best advice, would be is not to repeat the worst advice. So I think it's a little bit hard to pinpoint what would be considered the best advice or worst advice, but being around people and patients and unfortunately, assisting people and going through certain matzavim and going through situations, you really over the years get to meet some tremendous, tremendous people. And I've seen people that maybe in shul or maybe in yeshiva or in other places I thought were very plain people. And I found out these people, maybe not to the letter of the law, how much they learn, but over the years, I was able to see gedolim, people that had greatness, plain, simple, clothed people that had greatness in the way they interacted with the hospital staff, interacted with their family, interacted in very, very challenging situations. And some of these situations, like they say, can bring out the best and the worst in people. And you see certain people that their emunah, their whole personality and everything around them, they're in control. They understand everybody's in charge. And it's really a musser to see it. So I definitely can't pinpoint it to one specific case, but to see people in control of a situation. One story comes to mind, probably about 10, 12 years ago.
Okay.
Ramatio Solomon, who should have a refuah shalem himself, his wife was brought into the hospital early one morning, and he was there for. He was in the hospital. I think she was taken in about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was in the hospital with the mashgiach, and then at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, the mashgiach looked at his watch, and he said in his beautiful English, "I ought to go daven. It's time to go daven." And then he looked at his clock, and he saw it was about 8. It was 8 o'clock, 8:10. Mashgiach never daven that late. And then he remembered he had yahrzeit that day for a family member. He says, "I still want to daven for the Yom because I have to say Kaddish." He says, "I really have to rush." I said, "Why does the mashgiach have to rush?" He says, he said, "I'm scared if I daven any later, it won't be a schus for the Neshama." Now, when you hear it from someone in the caliber of the mashgiach or Raphael Solomon talk that way while he's going through a tough situation, when he knows that his responsibility is to be by his wife's side, and this, doing it in a calculated, the way is a tremendous amount of real clarity that you see from a Gadol and someone of that stature.
Wow. That's unbelievable that the mashgiach. How is he feeling today? Is he still in the hospital or is he home?
He's unfortunately back between the hospital and home, and he needs tremendous support.
Wow. Okay. Where does Rabbi Kaszieer see himself in the next 5 years?
I thought you were going from hard to easy. I see you going from easy to hard on me. With Rabbi Yisroel and Siyata Dishmaya, I really hope that we continue to provide services to the patients as the needs arise. And the same way, unfortunately, during COVID, there was one set of need, this very practical care that we had to provide to patients, primarily with equipment, primarily with health at home, primarily with unique requests. As the requests come in, we're going to do our best to up our game and down our game where it is or isn't needed. And we are working very closely now with the hospital here in Lakewood and with others. We've established something called the GHLI, which is the Greater Lakewood Health Initiative. It's no secret that Lakewood is short physicians, and we are actively recruiting physicians to Lakewood, New Jersey. We understand Lakewood is unique. Family moves in, the doctor moves in, they have to get their kids into yeshiva, they have to find a house locally, they have to break into a community. There's a lot of internal jog and exercise they need in order to so to say fit in Lakewood. And we understand that it's not easy, and myself and a couple of others are working very hard and doing anything and everything to make it more comfortable for these doctors to move into town. Because we realize right now the figures that we're looking at, Lakewood is short 25 physicians, and we're really trying on all angles to try to fix that that void.
Someone told me recently, because I know a lot of older people are moving to Lakewood now, to these 55 and above developments, and that they're coming back to New York or Lakewood or Manhattan to see their doctors because there's really no old doctors for older people that are in Lakewood. Is that going to try to be changed, or is that the way it is? It's going to be.
So we're definitely trying to change it. We're trying to change it, and right now we're not discouraging anybody that's going back to their doctors in New York. Those that can still do it for right now, unfortunately, they don't have another choice. Obviously, we have a referral department which literally does that all day, trying to get patients to primary care physicians, specialists, etc., etc.
Wow. And how could everyone learn more about Bikur Cholim?
So we're easy accessible. Our phone number is 905-3020. It's our number's out there. Our hotline handles about 1,000 requests a day in all the departments that there are, and there's everybody that's involved. Everybody that's involved in each department tries their best to get back to people in a timely fashion. So they can definitely call our office. We're available online, lbcol.org, and most people, once they reach out to us, they have the initial contact with that specific department, and we take it from there.
And I guess you guys, anyone can donate on the website, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, what is Bikur Cholim's budget for every year?
Bikur Cholim's operating budget is a little over $5 million a year.
Wow.
Between the transportation department, which is 18 vehicles, to the food that goes out on a weekly basis, the medical equipment, which we're constantly updating, to the hotline, and making sure that all the services are intact.
Wow, that's a big budget. But obviously, you're able to still function, Baruch Hashem.
Sure.
Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you so much for letting me interview you. Keep doing the great stuff that you do for the Kal, and Mitzvah Hashem, maybe sooner rather than later, Mashiach will come, and there will be no more need for Bikur Cholim. But until then, just keep it up, and and keep on doing it for as long as you're able to.
Amen. Thank you so much for this amazing, unique interview. Keep up your great work, getting good, positive messages all over the world. I'm sure the thousands of listeners out there will appreciate it. And hatzlacha to you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Shkayach.
Kol tov. Have a good night.
Kol tov.
Bye.